Everyone, it's wonderful to see you. I am in a phenomenal mood today. I haven't even told you what day it is. I'm not doing my usual thing. Look, my glasses are a little smudged, but I can still make out on the clock. It is Sunday, November 13th, 2011. And this is Day 9 Daily number 376, where we learn to be a better gamer. Brief overview of today's topic. It's going to be IdrA versus HuK, both from Team EG. Yes, that is right. EG HuK versus EG IdrA, where, though both play very well, IdrA does a phenomenal job deflecting all of HuK's attacks, and in particular, does a lot of brilliant attacks himself. But the one thing that really excites me is seeing how in this game IdrA transitions from a lot of nice aggression into complete and total passivity. He stops attacking and just lets HuK run out of money. It's a very important concept to note. So often we just think of ways to attack to kill the other opponent, but often it's correct to just wait and let the opponent come to you because you have the clear lead. And we're going to talk about why he does the attacks beforehand and when he does that stopping point where he goes into total passive patience mode. Of course, in very exciting news, I got the delightful chance to stream Skyrim on Friday. Oh, it was so fun. Though that will not be the last stream. I don't know when the next stream will be. It depends largely if after I have dinner, post-daily, I decide I'm going to all-nighter it and play Skyrim and just have a really rough Monday. I don't know. These are the decisions that are faced before me. Thank you, Bethesda, for giving me that decision every night from now, probably until Christmas. And of course, if you'd be so kind as to peruse through my playthrough of Amnesia: The Dark Descent and just mentally note your favorite moments. We're going to be compiling a top 10 moments list of me basically shrieking and looking like an idiot. So don't send any information anywhere yet. Just mentally note it down. And of course, tomorrow, Fun Day Monday, is the Mothership Rush Fun Day Monday, where you are not allowed to begin your expansion Nexus until you have started constructing a mothership. Send those to Monday at day9.tv. I literally think I nailed all the announcements in a fluid, clean, sexy fashion to allow us to transition back to IdrA versus HuK. Yes. Very good. Very good. Let me... Perfect. Now, I will note the following thing. Just as a general thought that I want to throw in your direction. Though StarCraft 2, has all sorts of units and fun fanciness going on and all sorts of battling, at the end of the day, the game is all about resources. It's all about collecting various resources, trying to prevent your opponent from getting expansions, trying to get expansions of your own, and all your decisions must necessarily be based around the idea of expansion and expansion timings. Let me explain to you what you should not do and how you should not think in StarCraft 2. It's so easy to get caught up in the units, in the idea of that, to think, okay, well, my opponent, he's starting to build Phoenixes. What is a unit that's good against Phoenixes? Well, the Infestor would probably help. I need to get some fungal growths on those. Maybe I need some Hydras to take them down. You might think more sophisticated things like, do I have enough time to get Corruptors for that? But it's too easy to fall into the trap of thinking about StarCraft 2 in terms of a complex rock, paper, scissors. Oh, he's building lots of rock? Well, I better respond by building paper. But the problem, of course, is that in StarCraft 2, rock can beat paper if you have a lot of rocks. Right? That's always the most important thing to work with. So, in StarCraft 2, a lot of what is a standard timing attack is a way to exploit a weakness in his expansion setup. And often if someone gets... By the way, every time you see me reach to the right, it's because I'm reaching for another pen to twiddle. They help me focus and help me construct thoughts. A little distraction to help soothe the words out of my throat. But of course I keep launching them onto the ground, so I reach over for another one. So, often when someone gets a whole lot of expansions up or something like that, it's very instinctive to go, oh, he's going to have a lot of money. I better attack like crazy. However, what we're going to see is the brilliant decision by IdrA in this specific game to say, oh, you've taken those expansions. You get to keep those expansions. I'm just going to let you have them. I'm not going to do any sort of expansion removal. I am just going to sit patiently and let you come to me. So as we're going through all these, I want that on your mind, the idea of here comes a moment where we're just going to sit and hang back and wait and be patient and starve our opponent to death. And even if you watch no more of this daily, I want you to go into your games and be constantly looking for when the moment to starve your opponent is clear. Always be thinking of, well, maybe do I want to attack him, or maybe I just want to let him have those bases and then try to starve him to death. Starvation, starvation. The most important topic of today's daily, especially because I'm almost done with the first Hunger Games book, and it's just sort of on the brain. Oh, children starving to death and killing each other. You'll note I preemptively enabled the sound like a boss. And now we can watch the game in full, I don't know, 128K MP3 bitrate quality. Or maybe it's WAV, or maybe it's FLAC. I don't really know what sound format Blizzard uses. What you're hearing right now is MP3. Who else cares? Do you care? Probably not, but I do because I'm an audio nerd. I like audio. Now, HuK and IdrA are going to begin with their usual banter, blah-bitty-blah-bitty-blah. They're talking about Diapollo, how he's terrible. You'll note that Diapollo is casting this game. Kid Apollo is good caster, blah, blah, blah. Alright, etc. Cool, goody goodness. So, what we're going to do largely for the first half of this daily is talk about just the basic general openings and all that sorts of goody goodness. But always keep in mind, we want to relate everything back to when it would be good to starve the opponent. On a map like Antigua Shipyard, I just want to point out that, let's actually come to the HuK cam. It's obviously easy for you to get your natural expansion up. We have this little rampy here, and ooh, even our second natural is pretty straightforward to get up. And right then and there, where is the next most easily defendable location? Well, I guess the gold. It's kind of spread out. Maybe here would be good, but that's also really far away. The answer is that there is no really easily takeable fourth base. And this is something that I think about anytime I watch a map, is where are the obviously easy bases to get. And once he has that many bases, I start thinking about starving him. I get really into starvation mode. Trying to starve someone on just 2 bases, possible on some maps, relatively difficult on this one. Trying to think of a map right now in which it's very, very common to starve someone on just 2 bases. The original Python in Brood War was good, but whatever, ever. So IdrA, of course, gets blocked by a pylon. He's just going to go ahead and take this third hatchery. He's going to continue building the queens up. I mean, this is pretty straightforward stuff, pretty rote standard analysis. Get your pool early so you don't get cannon rushed. On HuK's side, what I'm going to point out is something that I think very few people will do in the moment. HuK, I'm sure as many people note when they watch a stream, HuK's the guy who he seems to play a very fluid style. He just sort of pokes in and attacks and will be in very weird situations all the time because he does constant attacking that you don't do. But what I want to know is, I'm even going to take off my glasses to help me go into brainstorming mode. I want you to picture a map where you would kind of automatically expand and it would be safe. Like Shakura's Plateau. How easy and automatic it is for a Protoss to expand on that map, because he can completely wall himself in and place one cannon down and be in, ooh, it's cool mode. Then what happens when someone comes to Antigua Shipyard? I'm actually not going to go to HuK space. I'm going to go to this base up here. Someone would look at Antigua Shipyard and go, man, this is a huge open space. Where do I build the cannons? Well, there's this walk-around path in the back where, I'm not really going to feel very safe. And it is so common for someone to do a setup kind of like what HuK does. They'll build the forge, but then they'll be building a pylon down here. They'll set a cannon to prevent some runarounds. They'll set another cannon here to prevent run-ins from the main. They'll quickly rush for a zealot to block that off. And that makes sense, right? This makes intuitive sense. But I want you to be a little careful to not stop right there. Everything I've said so far is completely good logic. If you're hearing me say that and you're thinking, oh, that rings a bell, yeah, I do that, that's fine. But I want you to think one more step further and just make sure you're not going into autopilot mode. Notice that HuK is going to see that there's no gas here. He's going to see an expansion here, very clearly indicating an expand is coming up as a third base from IdrA. A single cannon is going to go down from HuK, and that's it. He's thinking. He's going into thinking mode. He's saying, do I really need this extra cannon here? Well, certainly if we see another gas geyser going down. However, he's just going to save himself that little bit of extra moolah that he needs. So the drone tries to poke in. I just want to point out what this extra little bit of money is going to allow HuK to do. Imagine if with his next 150 he built another cannon to prevent run-ins from this side, or to even cover this pylon. Watch as the gateway finishes. As the gateway finishes, HuK has enough money to build his cybernetics core essentially immediately. It's so common to see a player build this forge, build the gateway, build a cannon, then add a gas, then add a gas, then the gateway finishes, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and oh, boom, now I can build a cybernetics core. That would be fine if your opponent was trying to be aggressive and both those cannons could be useful. In this circumstance, look at HuK. No second cannon, no zealot, because he was doing that extra little bit of thinking, poking around, seeing the 3-base play from IdrA. Very common on this map, but it's important that you scout it. Again, just do that one little extra step of thinking. Just as a brief aside, I actually don't like this pylon placement. I actually think that this first gateway should have been planted here, and then we could slot our second pylon there, and build one cannon, and we'd cover the space. We would deal with runarounds a little bit better. And I don't even think we'd necessarily need to build this pylon. Hell, we could have built this pylon back here, and our cannon could be covering it. Just a little extra thought. Now let's come into Camp IdrA land, where IdrA's going for these hatcheries really, really quickly. I think that this is also a subtle adjustment from IdrA. Because he expanded to the faraway place, he's transferring more drones. And notice, this base is rallied to these crystals, and his main is rallied to the main crystals. Often you'll see a player have all the rallies set to the expansion, and they won't transfer that many drones. I think that's very clever thinking by IdrA. I like it. So everything right here is standard. Good opening stuff. And now we're going to see HuK begin with one of my absolute favorite openings, whether I'm 1-basing or 2-basing. I absolutely adore this style of play. Going to be going for some big zealot sentry pushing with +1. Aw, yeah. Aw, yeah, and there comes his warp gate research. Yeah, boy. Oh, boy. He never stops making probes. Damn it, do not stop making probes, you guys. Do not stop making probes. Unless you know exactly what you're doing, keep making probes. Please, I insist you keep making probes. I cannot believe how often people don't make probes. Now, I brought this up in one of my earlier dailies, but it didn't have a Protoss player in it, so I'm going to say it again. Very frequently, people will apply thinking when they shouldn't be. Always keep building probes. Good. All right, I get that. But then people will be in game. Especially the Submasters folk will do this. They'll be in game and they'll think to themselves, well, I really do want my Zealot Sentry push to be better, so I'm going to cut probes here and get that first Zealot out. And you know what? I need to start my +1 too, so let me cut probes a little bit longer. Ah, good, I did those things. Now I'm back to probe production. You fail! You fail! I can't even believe I'm talking like that. I sound like a walking internet meme. That's so fail of you. It really is. It's awful. It makes me... It's kind of like when a cat's coughing up a hairball, but in this case, it's not any sort of voluntary thing. I just gut puke because I'm so upset. Do not halt up on the probe production. Damn it. Do not do it. Just don't. And if you feel like, I'm getting things too slowly, just ignore that feeling. Keep making probes. It is so fail. But day 9, in one daily, I heard you say you want to go apeshit with units. Yeah, you can go apeshit. Just go apeshit. Pace yourself with your apeshittedness. Now, I've talked a lot about HuK. Let's talk about IdrA. IdrA's been doing something that I love. I get all fancy. I get all into. It gives me the gitchy. He's going to be going for the early 3 hatcheries before his gas geyser. But as a general theme, I don't want you to think of it as a build order. As a general theme, IdrA will hold off on gas for a long time. He's more than willing to start that 4th macro hatch before he's even begun speed. We've seen him do this on Terminus. Actually, I believe against either HuK or White Rot in this very tournament. He's done it on Terminus. He's done it on this map, on Antigua Shipyard. I've seen him do it on Tal'Darim Altar. Just getting a lot of larvae up ASAP. And if we even come back, we see that, yeah, he doesn't have that many Zerglings. And again, it's a response. He's poking in here, seeing the expand, and going, all right, I'm cool. I don't really need Zergling speed too early on. He is going to throw down his geysers right now. In this particular game, though he doesn't get the 4th hatch, the theme is still there. He's going to value getting a ton of larvae and a ton of drones up, and he's not going to waste any money or any time trying to get the gas necessary to start this speed until quite a good bit of time passes. Because your warp gate research isn't really going to finish any earlier than 8 minutes and 30 seconds. It very, very uncommon to see a Protoss player moving out after 2 base with a warp gate earlier than this. So what does IdrA do? Well, hell, since I'm sacrificing this Zergling speed to get up all these delightful drones, I'm going to build a just-in-case Roach Warren. Getting some just-in-case roaches. So we've talked about some of the basics. Some real basic stuff like positioning, like build your damn probes, damn it. We see a bunch of gateways going down for HuK. Not a ton. He has 5 gateways going down. He's not going for 7 gate. Meanwhile, back in IdrA's base, right, we've talked a little bit about, oh, you can hold off this, you can hold off that. Makes sense given what he's seen. We have talked about no big picture stuff. We've talked about staying alive type stuff. So that is good. That is very, very good. Getting these other expansions up. Oh, I'm on normal speed. Herp-de-derp-de-doo. Day 9, you foo-foo head. Other basic good long-term play. Anytime you're getting a Roach Warren, you should think to yourself, I should probably be getting an Evolution Chamber as well for the +1. Generally, these 2 buildings should be pretty close in terms of start time with each other. And look at that super stupidly late Zergling speed. If we peruse around the bases, we see no other gas geysers taken. These 2 were planted late. And IdrA literally, I don't think has missed a single larva. His injects are spot on. His spending of his drones are spot on. Other than that, he has only invested in Roach Warren, a late Evolution Chamber, and a really late spawning pool. I want that theme from IdrA to sink in. I want that to sink in. We're almost at the 8-minute mark, and nearly 100% of IdrA's resources has been devoted to never missing a larva inject. I want that to sink in. Is it sinking in? All right, I'm actually leaning in just to double check. All right, let it sink in. Let that sink in. This is the last thing I'm going to say before we step into the mid-game. Let that sink in, okay? So often, when anyone sees a Zerg play, whether they're thinking in terms of build orders or they're thinking in terms of general strategies, anytime they watch a Zerg and they feel inspired, they will think only about the obvious big stuff. For instance, Demaga gets really fast +1 Zergling attack and fairly fast Mutalisks. Those 2 big things. So when you watch someone trying to mimic Demaga, as I did with your replays last week, when I watched through them, the commonality that I saw is that people were focusing so much on getting that +1 up, focusing so much on getting those Mutalisks up. In this game, IdrA is focusing on getting as many damn drones as he can. And when people hear that, what they hear is, oh, IdrA has good mechanics. I better not forget my larva inject. Any build will benefit from having good drone count and good larva injects. Stop thinking that way. This is a theme in the build order. The best analogy I can think of is a Terran player who wants to be aggressive will suddenly save up all his energy on his command centers and scan like crazy. He's sacrificing mules and throwing in scans to be aggressive. Or a Protoss player who will take all his energy on his Chrono Boost and he will devote it all to a +1 attack and all to his Warp Gates. Or he'll spend all his Chrono Boost on Void Rays and air units. Well, there's also Protoss styles where you spend all your Chrono Boost on probes, and you can get so many probes up, and that's part of the build order. I want you to think of what IdrA's doing in that same vein. He's delaying Zergling's speed. He's delaying his lair. He's not getting any defenses. He's delaying his upgrades. The only thing that's kind of typically timed is the Roach Warren. And other than that, very early queens, maximum inject. And if we actually come back to the game, I want to point out that if you look around, yeah, wow, he actually only has 1, 2 creep tumors. He has 3 queens. Look at how low the energy is. 13 energy? Yeah, inject's about halfway done. What about this queen? 21 energy? Yeah, look at that inject. It's almost done. The queens, 18 energy, almost done. Notice how the hatches don't even have alignment. 28 of 40. 31 of 40. 17 of 40. IdrA's just getting it out as fast as he can, as quickly as he can, so he has maximum drone count. And of course, we can see this reflected in the fact that he has 46 drones compared to HuK's 40. And we're about to see a bunch of larvae pop off. Literally within 13 seconds, IdrA will be capable of having a huge surge of production. He's getting ridiculous amounts of larvae out. I leave you with that as I go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the big picture of the mid-game for each of these players' build orders. Fantastic. See you in 2 minutes.